Hello my lovelies and welcome back to another 5 channel. I'm JJ Books Corner, and today we are talking about this really extra, probably long vlog. I really don't know. It could be the same length. I don't know. We're combining two vlogs into one. Essentially, I fell behind on my uploads, and so I had two vlogs backed up. And normally when I do this, I normally take out a vlog. I'm going to just put up the last one, and we just move on with life. Both these vlogs, I read books in it that were 5-star favorites. Like one of these could be a 5-star favorite of the year, and so I wanted to include them inside a video. And so we're committing to this ultra long vlog for today. Hope you guys enjoy. So essentially, the things that are gonna be different from my normal vlog, there will be no TBRs, so you guys are just gonna go on for the ride. And there also the outro will only talk about the books from that second week, because I read so many books, I don't feel like doing a whole outro for it, in my opinion. Also, it wouldn't really feel true. And if if I have any intro or outro clips for any of our parts, it's just because I'm adding context to conversations that could pop up later. We'll see how long it goes, but I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and jump into the first real clip of these vlogs. Figured I'd come here and update you guys. I read 80% of Funny Story today by Emily Henry. We're to the point in the book where it's like the third act breakup, and I'm annoyed by it. Other than that, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 5, because normally Emily Henry's third act breakups, they're very fast, which normally would make me mad, because like if you're gonna do it, you should like fully fledge it. It's not gonna be a fully fledged. I can already feel the turnaround. Emily Henry, you can pretty much tell exactly when it's gonna happen, and I was like, okay, here it comes. I was preparing myself, and so it's all good. I really like these characters. This is, I now know what the book's about, so I can tell you. So Funny Story follows our main character named Jennifer, something out of those lines. And she was in a relationship with a guy named, I want to say Pete. They already get engaged, and then the day like 2 days before their wedding night of his bachelor party, he realizes that he was in love with his best friend, who was a girl, and he ends up calling off the wedding and basically like telling her, sorry, we're done, and kicking her out of this house that they bought together, whole 9 yards. Then Miles, who is the love interest, he was the one in a relationship with this girl, Petra, I think is what her name was. Miles comes over to our main character's house, and she has to move in. They become roommates, and that's the romance between Miles. And it's super cute, and I think my favorite tropes are 2 things so far that I've read the most and I've enjoyed the most. Friends to lovers, there's something about it that does make my heart swoon, and also fake dating. Expected friends to lovers to fake dating romance book coming to your way soon. Or in the next like 10 years, but they'll be here. I'm gonna write that because oh my god, it sounds so cute, it sounds so fun. They're kind of friends. They're friends to begin with. I mean, it's mostly fake dating, but it feels very like platonic and very friendly, and then it turns kind of cute, and then how it goes. I'm having a great time. Julia Wayland definitely sells this book so much, and she continues to sell these books. I do have to say, because it is the same narrator for every book, some of the characters are kind of falling in line, but I read 4 out of the 5, right? 3 out of the 4. I think this is the 4th one that's come out for this. Beach Read. Then we had People Meet on Occasion, which I've not read yet. Book Lovers, and then this one. Oh no, Happy Place. No, I have read. I read 4 out of 5, and I've enjoyed them all. Oh. Okay. I think Book Lovers is my least favorite so far. By the way, I would highly recommend it, Emily Henry. Moral story. It's going to be a 5. I couldn't, and it's either going to be a 5 or like a really high 4. And it depends on how the next like 20% go. That's everything though. I'm going to go do my puzzle. I'll bring you over and show you which puzzle I'm doing and that type of stuff. But I'm going to work on my puzzle. Okay, here's the puzzle. So it's 500 times 4, which is why I got it, because it's 4 different puzzles. So we have a Belle one, a Jasmine one, a Tangled one, which is the reason why we got it, and then the Sleeping Beauty one. We're going to start with the Belle one, and I'm just going to make them like that. They're 500 pieces a piece. I have no idea how long it's going to take me, but I know I'll feel really rewarded in the end. So let's get the Belle one out. Hi, I think it's been 2 days since we talked. I've finished 3 full books since we last talked. One of them I think I was like really close to finishing, but I hadn't fully completed. And then I did complete it, and that was Funny Story by Emily Henry. It was a 5-star. I loved it. Could not recommend. Emily Henry is a go-to buy for me going forward. She will be a go-to read. Pretty sure her books will end up on my have to read that year list, because obviously they're just going to get longer and longer as the years go on. Am I going to get to a point where I'm going to have 50 books? I don't know if we're going to continue this train of like the 25 24 books. You know, we might just be like 25 and then we're done. You know what I mean? I don't know. Let me know in the comments how you feel about that. So I finished that, and then I picked up Attached to the Hip by Christina Ricci. It just came out yesterday, I want to say. Yeah, it was yesterday. I picked up immediately, and I fell in love with the story, and I had such a good time. It is a 5-star prediction, so I am not telling you when I'm rating it in this vlog. Once again, it's all public knowledge, but I like to keep some secrecy, okay? Keeps you anticipating. I finished it. I read it. This is about a girl who ends up being selected to go on a Survivor spinoff called Attached to the Hip, where she is tagged with somebody, 8 feet of rope between somebody, and you have to build friendships and relationships and stuff, and it's Survivor, and so you vote people off and things, and it's a game, and so you're playing the game with her while also playing the romantic relationships with her as well. It's super fun. Characters are great. I always recommend a Christina Ricci, but I did enjoy it. And then I had a little bit of time left, and I was like, I need something kind of short, and so I looked at my list, and I knew that I need to jump into another one of those books I can't tell you the rating of. I'm sorry. And so I'm officially into that book. I haven't started yet, but I have gotten it. But I was looking at other ones, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we have a great selection for my 24 books in 2024 to read. And so I was like, I'll just start going down the list of the ones I can get my hands on while I still can get my hands on them, right? So I picked up Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna McGuire, which is the 9th book in the Wayward Children series. I'm going to continue on with the Wayward Children series. I was not sure. The last few books have not been great. This is the first book in a long time that I felt some emotional stake to it at all. Also, there's some ending parts that make me curious. These are little adventures. They're like 150 pages long. I listen to them as audiobooks. I think the narrator, I think it's Sean McGuire who narrates them. I don't know. Whoever does them did a great job, so I've been listening to him since I started the series. But I think there was like 6 books out? How long have I been reading this? It has to be 4 or 5 years now that I've been reading these. And I binge read the first few, and there's some favorites in there for sure, and then there's some like creeping favorites. I like to call those like where you have a reflection on it. You're like, oh, that was actually better than I thought it was. Sometimes you do a reflection on a novel after like a year or so, and you're like, actually that was not as good. And then sometimes it's like, oh my god, no, that's like 10 times better than I gave it credit for. The 4th one, the confetti one, I can't remember what it's called. It's much better than I remembered, and I very much enjoy it. I think it's because I love that character so much. I just love her so much. Either way, this one is a direct follow-up to the last book, which is kind of weird. They're normally not direct follow-ups. They do coincide. So I'm just going to tell you about the series because I can't really tell you about what the actual book is about. I'll talk more about it in this video that's going to be popping up in. The series is there's these doorways that kids go through, and they get trapped in these worlds. These worlds are made perfect for them, but normally the kid can't survive in them, either because they're very violent, they're nonsensical, whatever it might be, and for some reason they get kicked out. And so this girl, I can't think of her name, who runs it. Is it Miss Wayward? I don't think so. This house called Wayward Children's, they take them in, and it's basically a resting place for parents to bring their children back because they come back age they are. It's like if they've been gone for like 2 minutes in the human world, and they bring them back and they basically say, hey, my child is not adapting to normal life anymore. We don't understand why. Can you please figure it out? And then she adapts them back to normal life and sends them back on their way. Supposedly. Not really. She doesn't really do it. It's a fun little time, and you get to hear all these stories. Most of the characters are introduced in the first book, and you slowly get to hear all their stories as they progress. There's still a few that I'm really anticipating, and so I will continue to read the series until I get my hands on those. I finished that one as well. Those are the 3 books I read since we last talked. I'm about to go read more Game of Thrones, or I will be here in a little bit, and I have started my next physical book, which is called Spades by somebody, Jay Raymond. I'm like, I don't know, 10 pages in. It's making me cry. It's beautiful. That's gonna be a 5. That's probably gonna be a favorite of the year. And then I have started my next audiobook, which I'll introduce tomorrow when I'm fully working on it and reading through it for another video. Hopefully I can get out in June. It ain't happening in May. I've been working on it for 3 months now, so we'll see. I'll update you guys probably tomorrow is my best guess. I'm officially off. Yeah. Hi, I'm here and update you guys. It is Thursday. I read a book for you. Spades by Jay Raymond. I don't know who Jay Raymond is. I don't think there's a picture. And when I Googled it, or when I put it on my Goodreads, it had a blank profile. So we're just going to say they, them, and talk about that. This is about this person. This is about them falling in love over and over again with a lot of different... it seems like one particular girl, and then we move on. And it could be a self-biography as well. I can't figure it out, to be fair, but I loved a lot of the writing here. I didn't really relate to a lot of things. But there's just something so beautiful about talking about something or somebody, or yourself in a second and a third person viewpoint, and that's why like a part of it I'm like pretty sure it's not like, I think it's about someone that this person had loved at one point or the other. And I think there's points of it where it maybe isn't the case, but I very much enjoyed myself. Every page has writing on it, all 160, which is very rare nowadays to find in a poetry collection. Normally it's like there's like something over here, but there might not be something over here, or it's all page long poems, and so you will get something on one side and then they'll continue on to the next side, something of those lines. But was not the case with Spades. It is getting a 5 from me. It could change. I keep going back. I keep feeling like I'm giving out too many 5s, and so I'm giving out more 4s now. And now I'm thinking I've only given out 2 5s this month, and so I'm like, am I not giving out enough 5s? This is my 19th book. I don't know. Either way, it's at the moment it's getting a 5, but I guess that could change. Then I did start my next audiobook, which is Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. I've never read F.T. Lukens. This is a non-binary author who writes, I want to say normally it's like a non-binary love interest in a man is my best guess. And this one is interesting. This one follows our 2 main characters, Rook and Sun. They're both like apprentices for these like really great wizards. I guess we're gonna say wizards. And they all run these like shops and they're apprentices. And then I've not gotten to the point. I know in the synopsis it says one of them ends up going missing or something like that. I've not gotten there yet. And they have to work together. They have really cute banter. They both like each other. It's very sweet. The opening, if we were just following from Rook's point of view, I want to say there's a good chance that it could have been a 5. Now, because I know that we're following from both points of views, I'm feeling more like it's possibly going to be like a 4 or something. But I have a feeling I really like this author's writing, and I think I'm going to continue throughout the rest of their backlog. I've been interested in their writing since they started publishing, at least in traditionally publishing. Looks like they possibly could have self-published beforehand for a very long time now. And so like every idea I've been interested in. This is the only one I had no idea what it was about, and it's been pretty good so far. It feels very cozy, very low stakes, which is exactly what I was looking for. And I'll update you when I'm further. I haven't really read much more. I read a little bit more of this, but I'm not really worried about it today. I read so many books for you guys this week. It's kind of crazy, but I'm gonna go play a game with my brother, and we'll puzzle tomorrow. Alright, let's quickly chat about what I haven't really done much to talk to you about, but I'm halfway through this. It's okay so far. I'm really liking the writing, though. That's the moral of the story. Really, that's all I really need to update you guys on. I have a bit of a plan for what I want to read between today and tomorrow, and once I actually sit down to start reading those, we can talk about it. Alright, hello! Welcome back to the last day of this vlog. Essentially, I want to take you on my journey today. I don't have anything huge planned. I'm making food with my mom. I have recording and editing, lots of editing to do today. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, so we have a day to progress. I also have to make 3 pounds or 103 pounds of mac and cheese today with my mom, so that's both fun and exciting. Hi! So, we dropped off the food, we did the food, and now we're home. I'm upstairs cleaning, doing dishes, cleaning up a lot of different things. I want to quickly come in here and talk about the 2 books that I finished in the time I didn't talk since this morning. The one book I've not talked about at all this vlog. I actually really thought I was going to end up finishing it tomorrow or the next one and things like that, but in reality I was doing my puzzle last night and I did it for like 3 hours and it got me to the end, so we can talk about it. So let's talk about both of them. Starting out with the one that I did finish that I talked about in this vlog, which is Spellbound. This ended up being a 4.25 star, which is fine. It was really good. Highly recommend. Super cute, super fun. Lots of cool things. Also, I think the second half is much better than the first half, and I think it all came together really nicely. It reminded me of a book that one of my old close friends wrote that I really enjoyed. I'm very excited to read more from F.T. Lukens. This just proved to me that there is more for me to read. I want to know if romantic relationship dynamics are the same or not. The other one I pulled off my shelves like a week or 2 ago, and I've been slowly working away. I worked through it when I did my Lego. I worked through it as I've been doing my puzzles. Like I was kind of scrambling. I moved over back to coloring on my phone, which is I think is how I finished the book. Either way, I did finish Game of Thrones by George R. Martin. We can take this officially out. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. There is nothing really new to it that I wasn't expecting. I had read it previously in like 2016, 2015, when I was like really in depth in the show. I was like, I'll give the book a shot. And I remember not really liking it back then, and I have to say I don't really love it now. Like, it does not scream, I need to revisit this world and revisit all of his books, which I do own. They're all sitting right there. Will I continue with the Clash of Titans? Or Clash of something is the second one. Maybe. I don't really know. But it truly is the first season, or roughly the first season of the TV show. There's a few things that are different, obviously, here or there, ages. Outside of that, it's all pretty much the same. This is a bit more graphic, I will have to say. So if you are someone who doesn't like the graphicness of, well, if you don't like the graphicness of Game of Thrones, or just in general, I don't really recommend. It was a lot more like political politics and things like that. Just how the first season was, which I kind of forgot. I do think I'd probably enjoy it better once we get into some of the bigger things. Like maybe I enjoy the second book better or the third book better. So I'm not rolling the series off. It's definitely not one I'm going to go like running towards, but I did finish it. Thank God I finished it this month. That makes me so happy inside. All right, we are starting my next read, which is Hell Follows With Us by Andrew Joseph White. Andrew Joseph White is a trans author. This is a queer trans author. I don't really remember what this is about. I just remember the cover when it came out in 2022 being breathtaking, and I was like, I had to read that the year. I didn't get to it. I was like, I'll put it on my next list and didn't get to it. Now we're in 2024. We're back with it. We're gonna read Hell Follows With Us. I'm very excited. I think this could be a 5-star. I hope it's a 5-star just based off the cover. I've read the opening twice, about to read it a third time, and I have a feeling I'm going to love it as well. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about it when I'm a bit deeper into it. It is being read for a separate video. I'll talk to you very soon with an update. So Hell Follows With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This follows a trans boy who is running from these prophets. They are called angels. They have angel wings on their back. It looks like they're tattooed, but also like there's a moment talking about removal, which made it sound like it wasn't tattooed. So I'm not entirely sure if they're real angel wings. And it seems like he might have a special ability to control them. Once again, I'm still trying to get the grasp of this world. He's running away from them because he is trans. He came out as trans when his father left. His father is brutally murdered in the very first page of this book, and he ends up being found by this group of LGBTQ youth, and we're going on this journey with them. It looks like we're going to be jumping from POVs, which is very exciting, but I'm loving the writing so far. I'm loving the story. It's getting me so inspired. I'm having the best time of my life. So definitely will be finishing this. We'll probably finish it tomorrow is my best guess. Especially because I'm working. I read like a book a day when I work. I would say we got to pick a new unread TBR book, which we can because I don't have an audiobook. So it could be the audiobook. Oh my God. Excellent. Excellent idea. Pick up from a different... Oh my God. Great. This is great. My last one was Game of Thrones. I finished it last week in the previous vlog. Let's go to the internet so we can pull up a number generator. I think we're down to 67. Oh, 65. I take it back. We're down to 65 books on my unread TBR. Let's go ahead and... Oh, shit. 28. Give me a second. Alright, my loves. I picked Running the Risk, the Endgame Ops novel. My hope is just it's not like the third book in a series. I just read big spoilers, possibly. I would have to do a little research. So me and my friend, I mentioned this in a previous vlog, we would play a game where we would try to find the smuttiest scene, and then we would just be like, hey, I'm sure I don't know if this is one of those ones. This doesn't say it's an like adult novel or anything like that, like a adult romance novel. Very sexy. It says it's a romantic suspense novel, but it does not say a novel. It does say Endgame Ops novel, which could mean a bunch of different things. I don't know. But either way, I'll get back to you if this is a good one or not, or we gotta pick again. I don't read middle book sequels. It's just not a thing I do. And there's some people. With that being said, I will update you guys very soon. Hi, what's the chat? See you on the day. Today is Sunday. Huh, it's Sunday. I did finish a book. Already, beginning of the week, and I finished this book. And that is Hell Follows With Us by Andrew Joseph White. I think I briefly talked about what the premise of this was. I don't know. I think so. And it was a 5-star. It worked out. It was phenomenal. I really enjoyed all the characters. I really enjoyed the entire damn thing. Like, it was good. It does get really batshit crazy, and I will have to say some of the stuff that is talked about here is not, like, in my opinion, the best explained. But I had so much fun reading it. I had such a good time with these characters. Like, it's so brutal. It's, like, so good that I didn't care. It was a 5. It's excellent. And my recommendation for that book is really tricky. Kind of how I felt when I got done reading Manhunt. Very similar vibes. In Manhunt is way gorier and way harder to read for a lot of reasons. Very similar, like, in brain vibes. If you've read Manhunt, I think it's called Manhunt. The cover is phenomenal. I have a whole breakdown in the opening of that book on my channel, in case you guys are curious. I did a whole analytic thing for that book. By the way, with this one, very similar vibes. This not nearly as gory or as disturbing. If you're interested in books like that, or it's been on your TBR, or you've heard whispers of it, and you're like, oh, well, I think I'd probably like it based on things you've heard, I would highly recommend. If you're just taking it based on the fact I gave it a 5-star, I would recommend looking it up first, just for the simple fact that it might not be like super for you. I don't know. It could be, but it might not be. Okay, let's move on. The next one we're gonna put down is Runaway, Running the Risk by Lee Griffith. Not because I have anything against Lee Griffith or anything. The thing here is that the book itself it's just like the third book in a series. And I did do a few reviews to see if they have to be read in order. They don't have to be read in order, but it's like super crucial to understand like what's going on in the plot. Like the author marketed it, or whoever published it marketed it, that they don't need to be read in order, and then simply said, oh, I'm sorry, you kind of do need to read it in order. Apparently a lot of characters from the first book get killed off really early on in this book. More characters from this book get killed off in the next book. A whole thing, and so like it's kind of like that. Does that say Rook? That's kind of crazy if it's Rook. Either way, it's just not going to be right. I am interested in stories like this, and so I might do a little research and find books that are similar to this and read some of those. I probably won't read this one in particular. I started Dragon Rider. This is because I wanted to find a new book to read. This is a middle grade fantasy, beginning of a series. I think there's 3. I think it's a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know that for certain. The first book came out in the 90s, and it took like 30 years for the sequel to come out, or 20 years or something like that. It was a long time between releases. Sorry, people who had to wait. I'm interested in the story. I picked it up for the simple fact I wanted to hear more how people wrote dragons in middle grade, how people write dragons flying in middle grade, but also like a lot of other things. I'm currently writing a middle grade fantasy all about dragon riding. Ironically, mine has to do with a school. This one does not. Obviously, I'm super curious. It was between this and Fourth Wing, and I chose middle grade over Smut. So that's where we're at. Not that I'm even sure if Fourth Wing is Smut. Also, Prior Orange Tree. I know that has dragons in it too. I don't know how many dragons, but I know there's at least one. That's where we're at. I'm enjoying it. It's fine. Come on, I'll talk to you tomorrow evening. After that, I picked up Dragon Rider. Dragon Rider was a simple story about people finding a new home. I landed on a 3. It was pretty basic for me.
What keeps baby's skin healthy? A diaper that doesn't leave.
That's wrong. I'm coming in here to update you guys on the weekly vlog. This is 2 days later. It's Wednesday evening. I was supposed to have Wednesday off. Oh, I can't once again go into specifics. This job is very particular about what we say online. Like I mentioned in the past, someone had to call off, and so I did a double, which means I was there from 3 p.m. yesterday to 7 a.m. this morning. And then I slept for a very short period of time. Then I went and saw Strangers Chapter 1 and Furiosa Mad Max Saga, and now I am home. In that process of being at work, though, I did read a few things, so let's go ahead and talk about them. I finished Womb City. I ended up giving that one like a 3. It's like a 2.75 to a 3, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly where I landed, but I know it's somewhere in there. The issue is that once the plot started to plot, nothing really made sense. And I know that's part of the reason why there's so much world building in the beginning, but the world building wasn't very clear, and so the book just didn't end up working out for me, and I eventually didn't care about any of the characters or like really anything that was going on. I feel like there's a few cool concepts, but I wish it was done differently. I've heard that this person's short stories or novellas or whatever else they've written in the past is super duper good, and so I do have plans to pick up that, as I thought like the writing was really pretty, just not in this context of a book. The cover is definitely one of my favorite parts of the entire experience. The next one that I read was called Wicked Games. It's gonna look a little weird because it's gonna be like a little square. It's because I did not realize when I put it on, I got it from NetGalley. I put it on a request or whatever for an e-audio arc, and I got it, and essentially is about, so it's like an audiobook, and I didn't realize that it was like only exclusive an audiobook for this company that makes all these different books and stuff like that, and so it's only an exclusive audiobook, which is fine. So essentially it's about this girl who ends up going out to this place from a guy that she only met from like 2 days ago, and this place is known for being, a lot of people died there and things, and so she's a little afraid, but she's grown up in a weird past and stuff. Very brutal, very, very violent. I would call it extreme horror. I had so much fun with it though, to be fair. I gave it a 4 because I truly did have a lot of fun. I think the main character, and I think the female characters in general, are just okayly written, which does suck. I really liked the main character Harley by the end, but ultimately it needed more, I guess. I felt like it was really well paced, and if you like movies like You're Next, or I'm trying to think of another one where it's like home invasion, but like revenge type of thing. That's kind of like the vibe. If you're into that, oh my god, I couldn't recommend enough. Truly. Do look up the triggers though. There is pretty graphic in almost everything they talk about, and some of it's very upsetting. So do look up the triggers. But I had a great time. Then I started my third book, which I'm still in the middle of, and that's The Mystery Writer. I think I hit the halfway mark. This is in my 24 and 24. I really need to start doing research for that video. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought the cover looked really gorgeous. I really can't remember what I said when I initially had talked about this in that initial video. But here's the thing with this book. It is a literary mystery to its fullest. And I realized in times that literary mysteries are just not my cup of tea, because I've read a few of them and I've never liked one of them. Literally never liked one of them. They're too traditional in the mystery standpoint. There's elements here that are pretty cool, but also like it's not. It's super hard to explain. This one follows a girl. She is an upcoming writer. She ends up moving to America, meeting a very best-selling author. They end up in a quick little romance, and then he ends up dead. The writing here is very fascinating. There's a scene that happens at not a bar, but like a coffee shop that's written from both their perspectives at the same time, and it was mind-boggling to read. The writing here is quite strong, and if I would have looked up what else this writer has, like this author has written before, I would have probably realized that this book was probably going to land in about a 3 category for me anyways, based on some of the other books that she's written. Not that I've read any of them, based on the vibes and things that I got from the initials. It did scream pretty much a 3 to me, and I think it's going to be a 3, which it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Mystery Writer was a total bust for me personally. It's about a woman who ends up starting a relationship with a really famous author, and he ends up dead, and she ends up being convicted for this murder, or the cops are trying to pin it on her, but there's no like evidence for it. And a whole bunch of other shenanigans go on. It sounds like it should be interesting. It sounds like it should be intoxicating. And to be fair, I did read it really fast, but a part of me wanted it to be over, especially by the time we hit the 3rd act. I had read I was gonna DNF it, and I read something where it said, it's so weird that this really slow book turned into like a Mission Impossible villain in the last act. And I was like, what? Okay, that's intriguing. And it does not, in my opinion, so I don't count that as a spoiler. If I do, I'll just, yeah, how it goes. Ultimately, I feel like there's like a point in the novel of where something's happening and then it jumps 6 months later, but it's only jumping 6 months later. You only know that by like instance in a conversation, or someone talks about a leaf changing or something. It's not very true to you, which I felt was really annoying, and I didn't like it. It was I went on a, what was it, 2.5? Was a 2.5. Not my favorite thing I read this year. And I should have looked it up. Like, the author was very true to what the author was writing, but either way. Then I picked up 2 other books. So I picked up the Boyfriend subscription right afterwards, because it's a bit shorter, and I figured I could run through it. I went through a lull period where I was reading so much constantly, that I think my brain was just like, okay, honey, I think you need to put this somewhere else. And so I've now been writing constantly, so I haven't really been reading much, and so I'm doing the intake and outtake type of thing. I've read a lot of pages this month. So the breakdown is, when we talk about it in the wrap up, it's like 300 pages a day for the entire month is what I'm cycling through right now, which is the most I think I've read in like 2 years for a monthly page breakdown count for me. But like it's a lot of books, and it's a lot of things, and sometimes they're really long. Like we have a lot of long books obviously to talk about and things in a wrap up. I think that's part of the problem, because I've been reading the Boyfriend subscription for 2 days now. I made a huge progress through it today, and I feel like it's just moving so quickly. The relationship is moving so fast. It's about 2 people who are down on their luck. One of them is starting their business and he needs it to go well. The other one is losing his business or lost his business, and he's thinking about changing his entire life around. They end up meeting in a bar, and this guy who is an OnlyFans type creator offers him a deal saying, hey, I'll pay you like $7,000 if you're my boyfriend for the week, or something along those lines. And so it turns into like a Pretty Woman situation, just with a lot of graphic sex, and it's very detailed graphic sex, but like done really well. And you can tell it's written by like someone who's a part of the community, not someone who's like fetishizing the community. So it's honestly really refreshing, and there's like a few parts that are kind of like really hot, so it works, but also it's like interesting. And then I also finished this one, which is a manga, and I thought it was enemies to lovers. It was a cop who is tracking down like a criminal person, and it ended up being kind of slow and a little boring, and not really like a lot. I feel like the opening like first few pages was a lot that never went anywhere. It's also a volume 1, and I've never read a volume 1, and so we'll see if I pick up more from this series or not. I have no idea. That being said, I'll update you guys tomorrow. Let me come in here and update you guys. It is Sunday. I figured I can close out this vlog. I did not come in last night. I had to be up really early this morning since we were doing a Mother's Day thing. It's all good. I did finish the book last night though. I did prioritize finishing the boyfriend subscription. So I didn't finish it. I'm giving it like a 3. I think it's pretty much a solid 3. To be honest, there's some things in here I just didn't particularly believe. To be honest, I would have probably believed that the relationship could happen so quickly over a short period of time. And I think I've told the story before. My fiance, he and I moved in together 4 or 5 days after knowing each other. Like, it was a very short period. It wasn't because of like pandemic or anything like that. The circumstances don't really matter, but it was a very short period of time. That we started to live together, and I would never change it for the life of me. He's the person I'm going to marry. So I do believe people can fall in love so quickly. However, there's a monologue that happens towards the end of the book told by one of the love interests, and I don't necessarily believe that the monologue could happen. I believe a lot of things surrounding the monologue could happen, but not the monologue itself. And that's very complicated and confusing in some points, but when you read the book, you understand. The sex was great, though, to be honest. So I gave it a 3 because I feel like some things really worked and some things didn't really work. I believe the characters, for the most part, and I felt like a lot of the struggles throughout the story also worked really well, and I like the idea of hiring someone to be your boyfriend for a lot of period of time. I just wish it was a longer period of time. And to be fair, there was a short portion near the end where it was kind of jumping around in time, but it wasn't, so I don't know. The confessions were true enough for me. So I gave it a 3. Still would recommend it to most people, though. Ironically, Stephen Salvatore is someone who I've had on my list almost every year in this capacity. Never brought to the main list of 2023 or 2022 I need to read, but he's always been on the bigger, longer lists. I've always been interested in his work. This just happened to be the first one that I read from him. I finished the anthology I've been reading all month. I haven't talked about it. I haven't really been liking it, and so I didn't want to bring it down. But I will mention it here because it was an e-arc, and that's the Pleasures and Pain, a queer horror erotic anthology. I just don't know if horror erotic is what I want to do, what I want to read, so it didn't really work for me. A lot of them do. I like some of the poems, and I like the integration of poems into a short story collection where it's like a short story, then a poem, and things, and so that was like very inspiring, but overall, I didn't really care for it. I gave it a 3. I do recommend it if you're interested in that type of story and juncture. I personally was not. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys on next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.